If y'all are pitching today, could you come like? If you guys haven't pitched first,
Alright, everybody ready? Love seeing such a lot of good big lineup. New faces.
Alright, what's up everybody? My name's Rahul, and I'm here to talk about one time when I saw someone absolutely bite the bullet off a Lime scooter. They just fell, scraped their knee, and before I could go to help, there was this random guy who came and helped him out within 20 seconds. And I had so much respect for him. So I was walking back home that day, and I was telling my roommate about it. And then I was like, man, I really wish there's some way I could have like told him, you're the man, you could have, that was so nice of you. And then he said, you should have helped them farm Aura. What? Can you stop being brainwashed for 2 seconds, bro? I told him that. And then he said, no. And he pulled out this service, this ranking. And there was a ranking of a bunch of people that I knew and then some names that I didn't know. There was a boy from my computer science class, someone from my running club, someone from my spirit group. And I was like, what are you showing me right now? And he told me, it's Aura Farm. You help people farm Aura. You send people little Aura transactions for good things that they do. It's a way to spread positivity. I said, okay. I mean, if I have infinite Aura, can I just send it to everyone? He said, no, come on. Don't get ahead of yourself. You get a balance of 25 each day, unless you buy more. I'm not gonna buy more, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll get so engaged in it that I will. Anyways, I looked at that and I thought, okay, let me get on this. And then I saw this feature where I could create a circle with my friends. And I thought, wow, that really makes it so much smaller. I feel like I can actually get higher in this ranking within my friends. Because in a school of 50,000 people, being #1 in the ranking seems kind of hard to scratch the surface of. But in a smaller circle, you know, I can get better like that. So I thought of this app as a way to make those little invisible interactions turn visible, and a way to spread positivity around campus. So why don't you help each other farm Aura and give each other a positive experience at UT.
Oh, try again. One more time. Sorry, that was okay. That was awesome. Thumbs up. Oh. Great pitch. Seriously, I thought that was great. Stay up for a second. Or you can keep the mic, but you can come up and swap mics while I'm going, just so we're ready. You had a great story. It was like super engaging. It was totally first person. It was super real until you got to the circle. Then you broke a little bit. You started you still started to describe a feature rather than like, and then I invited all my friends to join the circle. Like you just like keep it first person, like as much as you can is better. But I thought it was super great. Is this real or just an idea?
Yeah, actually I submitted that as my demo for today as well.
Cool, can't wait to see that soon. Just quickly, it reminds me, another friend of ours, Jonathan Kuhn, he was working on something that was called Daycoin. And in some ways it was kind of similar, like everybody, just for being alive, got a coin every day. And then that was your currency. Kind of like you were talking about, like you got some just for joining, but then maybe you could buy more.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting concept too. So good job.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris, and I'm a big fan of the NBA. I watch it a lot, and the other night I was watching my favorite player, Luka, play against whatever team. I eventually turned it off because he got his 6th foul, and I thought it was a really stupid call. It was like a shooting foul. The ref saw contact where there's other camera angles, and like you could see there was no contact. They just baited it. So I just turned off the game. Like, I didn't want to see my favorite team get destroyed without the best player. But then the next day, my friend, he plays in a league, and he's like pretty rich, so his league has access to like new features and stuff. I go and there's like no ref on the court. There's just like 6 cameras around the court in the same angle as that what you typically see in an NBA game. It was so cool because like there's a giant screen, there's just like show replays of like what was happening. It would just automatically have the foul calls, and like if a player really got mad, they wouldn't get text because like who are they gonna argue with? Like computer? Like I think they could submit challenges, but you know, the computer can reevaluate and stuff. But it wasn't so like volatile like a normal ref where they'll get all emotional and be like, oh, you're out because you screamed at me. So I was just thinking like, I don't have to watch my favorite team get destroyed anymore after, you know, my favorite player Luka just does some stupid stuff, gets a bad call, or like just gets attacked where they shouldn't have. But yeah, thank you.
What's the product? I'm lost.
Oh, it was
Automated
called
ref?
Real Ref, yes.
Auto ref,
Yeah, auto ref.
like in tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for basketball though.
Yeah,
And what's the pitch? Like you're gonna build this and sell it to who?
just the leagues and stuff. They can install it inside like the stadiums and stuff, and they can pay for like using our API and like
But all these leagues exist already without that.
yeah. But I'm just saying like for like refs, it'd be replacing refs and like making the calls more
Putting people out
accurate.
of work. That's what you want to do?
Huh?
Just putting volunteers out of work, or what?
Or like on the NBA level as well.
Well, NBA.
Yeah.
That's what you meant by league, NBA.
Yeah, like a friendly league. It can start at the league level and then it can go up into like the NBA eventually.
All right. I think that my feedback is I didn't know what the product was or who you're selling it to.
Mhm.
I understand you want to like eliminate bad calls in basketball. Is that the demo?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be amazing. I want to see that.
Yeah, I think really good points there. You did a great job with the story, like really good, and almost so good that we lost a little bit of like so and that's okay. Like sometimes you know like I know I've probably given you feedback on focusing on the story, but yeah, I think trying to tie it then a little bit more tightly into then like I was kind of wondering at the end too, like so what are you gonna ask me to do? And you're like, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like getting into like, so like now we can, and this is where you'd also get to what is the real value prop for the leagues or the other people coming in. Like we can, is it making the game more enjoyable? Is it saving the league's money? Is it, you know, different things like that. And one other quick piece of feedback, when you said, you were stayed in the story the whole time and then you got to somebody getting upset. And just like I was saying before, then you kind of dropped out, and you were like, so if somebody gets upset, this is what happens, as opposed to saying like, but then there was this call, and my friend like, or, you know, the player like totally didn't agree with it, but he just kind of looked up at the screen, and instead of like having a fit, there wasn't really much you could do, and just again keep it first person. So good job.
Hello. So a while ago, my roommate and I hosted a tea party for some of our friends, and while she was in charge of all of the finger food, I was in charge of the tea, mainly the chai. And as this party is going on, people are coming up to me like, oh my goodness, Rhoda, that was the best chai that I've ever had. I'm like, thanks. And so by the end of the party, I felt really, really confident about my chai making skills. I was just really happy with how things turned out. But as I was getting ready for bed, I saw these 2 balls of yarn that just kind of looking at me. And I've had them for so long because I wanted to learn how to crochet and I just really never got around to it. So I kind of had this moment where I was like, okay, what if I just used my new chai making skills and I found someone that wants to learn how to make chai but knows how to crochet. So I said, okay, let me follow up on this. So I went on Reddit and I was like, okay, who wants to learn how to make chai and knows how to crochet? And I found someone that lives halfway across the country, and less than a week later, I was on Zoom with them, just putting spices in water, adding some milk, teaching them how to make chai, and they were teaching me how to crochet. And this is where the idea of swap came from, where people can use skills that they already know, and you trade that for skills that they want to know. And so this is not just a platform, it's building a community where people can use their everyday skills as an opportunity to learn something new. So if you like what you've heard, and really want to use your you want to use your skills that you already know and trade them for new skills, then join Swap.
Makes a lot of sense. I think what I like about it is there's this meta of who is it that even wants to do this. It seems like that's the value, actually. It's this, like you said, a community of people that feel that way. It reminds me of like when Etsy was new. I was like, you can just buy this crap. Now these are all people that make stuff. Like now that's not what Etsy is, right? But it used to be. This is people who like poured their heart into that. That's what it is. And it was just so nice about. Like that's it. That's the whole pitch. So I like this idea. Like obviously you can learn how to crochet. There's 800 YouTube videos about crocheting. So if the pitch is now you can learn how to crochet, I'm like, no. There's a million easy free ways to learn how to crochet. So I think it's what you said. The community. That's what I would emphasize because I think it's fantastic. And just like the Aura thing, or whatever that was called, I love it because social media is so evil and horrible, and yet these are ways to use that for good. For people that want to help each other, just kind of hang out and do their hobbies and joys together, or the Aura thing. I love the idea of turning what's supposed to be good into something actually good, instead of just being the horrible thing that it often is. So I like those aspects to it.
Yeah, agree with all that. I would say the only thing I would like to give feedback on the pitch is the specific examples you gave were kind of obscure to me. So like I'm kind of like sitting there still wondering like how many people really want to like, did you really find somebody else that wanted to crochet who like did that? And so it's like it wasn't that it was a bad like that was I'm sure it might have been real. Who knows? It could be. It's not a bad example, but a better example would be one where I was like, oh my god, you're right. There's a million people that are going to go do that. You know, like and I could or maybe giving some other examples of that or some data that said, did you realize how many more people want to go do it? And then also to Jason's point, maybe throwing in something to address his point about YouTube and other stuff that says like, you know, I wanted to learn to crochet and I had tried watching some YouTube videos, but it just wasn't my thing. Like it just didn't do it for me. You just kind of write it off that for you, you wanted a more personal experience, and that's why this might be more time. Good job.
Hi, I'm Yusuf. It was an ordinary Saturday evening, and my brother said, we were having dinner, he said, the first place gets an iPad for free. And I said, what? He said he had taken that math contest that day, and he was talking about the exam that he took. And I didn't think that much at first. I said, okay, that's cool. And then I realized how much I paid for my own iPad. And I realized, wow, like a simple exam for middle schoolers, an iPad is given. And then I start to search more. And then I realized there are like dozens of those kind of exams happening every year. And I said, okay, what if I teach my brother math, middle school math? I mean, I kind of know math at this point. And then help him win all the iPads that are given in those competitions. And then we can sell them. It was a basic business model. And I realized, okay, so I have to tutor him, and then I have to let him take those exams. So that was good. So we bought all those workbooks and study books. And we started to study. Everything was going well. Like my family was in this, and like we were all so hyped up. And then an issue came. We were studying every day, but after a certain point, my brother was stuck at certain questions, certain hard questions. And then I realized, well, what might be the reason for that? I looked deeper and deeper, and then I realized it was the quality of the questions. The quality of the questions weren't that good. One workbook that we had was giving easy questions, and the other was giving medium questions, and then the other was, again, too easy. And then I realized, then what's the solution for that? And after that day, we went to one of our family friends' son's place, and I've seen exponential equation questions worksheet on his son's desk. And then I realized, wow, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I asked him, where did you get this? He said, oh, my tutor gave it to me, and it's made by AI. I said, wow, that was the last piece in our study. I realized that we didn't need more textbook, we didn't need more workbooks, we just need a tool that will give us right questions on demand. So that's where Question came in. Question is an AI platform where teachers, tutors, or parents can create questions on demand at runtime, at whenever they want. And then they will help students master any topic, any subject, at any difficulty. And also, snap a picture of the work that's been done, and then just let question grade it. So, question. It's learning perfected by AI.
Well, you know, the big problem is you have 2 minutes. Yeah. So the whole thing with the, I was looking, and by the time you got to even starting with the problem, which is the workbook questions were scattered, you'd already lost more than half your time. But I love your thing about like, hey, we can mine iPad. Like, the thing is, if you had 5 minutes, then it was a perfect start because I laughed out loud about that story. It's really funny. But I love that. It's just that's a 5 minute. That's in a 5 minute pitch. You don't have time for that. So I like it, just so you have a time constraint, right? Now, the other thing is, of course, we all already understand the problem and solution. Problem, everyone needs a custom tutor that meets them where they are. That's it. That was what, 5 seconds? That's the whole pitch. Everybody on earth deserves a custom tutor that meets them where they are, meaning however difficult they need, on whatever subject they need. If they're getting it right, the AI can make it harder. If they're not, and it can do it with all kinds of subtlety and all subjects, just like you said. Of course, people are already trying to do this, like Khan Academy and others are trying to, in fact, do this. So I think the idea, of course, is extremely important, and the more people that try to do that, the better. Because anytime we can give people custom education, it's good. But see, those are quick phrases you could already use. Of course, if we could give everyone a tutor that met them where they were at 24/7 in their own language, of course that would be ideal. And with AI, that's actually possible. That's mind-bending. To me, that's kind of what the pitch is about. It's inspirational. You can literally change the world this time, not like most things. Yeah. That's very exciting. So I think that inspiration is something you can easily do in 2 minutes because it's so obviously wonderful. You don't have to set up a problem, and you don't have to describe, hey, we've got workbook. We already understand like that this is one of the greatest things you could ever do, that anyone could ever do, is help people around the world, especially people not in the U.S., learn anything at their own pace. But unbelievable. So maybe this is an example where instead of problem statement, solution statement, it's inspiration. I mean, this is just an opinion, but it's so inspirational to tell that story. That might be a better way, and it could fit in 2 minutes. But at 5 minutes, I love what you said.
Yeah, I agree. The story was great. If you could like, but I was after a little bit, I was like, so where's this all going? You know, like, it's been a while, and so either find a way to condense that down to get into it faster, or maybe using a different one in that case would be good. It's not that it wasn't good; it was really great. The biggest thing I left wanting more of and understanding, and to Jason's point, like I kind of got what you were doing pretty quickly, and I agree. Like that sounds useful. My thought was like, well, like everybody's doing that. Like ChatGPT by itself, I just be like ChatGPT. Like literally, my wife like randomly was like, Josh, explain quantum physics to me. And I started to explain it, and I realized I'm not very good at explaining it. And I pull up my phone and I'm like, explain quantum physics to my wife. And like, you know, it starts talking, and she starts asking questions. And so it does that already. So I think really, and I'm sure you have other ways you make it different, but emphasizing, you don't have to do it now, but emphasizing, here's why it's more than just ChatGPT, I think, like whether it's a flashcard interface or something like that, would also make it better. So, good job.
Hey everyone, I'm Trace. I'm at the Capital Factory, and Josh is here, and let me just put this away. My professor for Longhorn Startup Seminar is Josh Baer, and he is the CEO and founder of Capital Factory. In addition to this, he's also a serial investor, and he goes to all these networking events. So Josh goes to a networking event, he talks to someone, and as he's talking to this person, he's writing down on his phone, he's writing down their contacts, he's saving relatable tags about them. Now, this is great, but this is a little bit of a distraction. Josh is looking down at his phone, there's minimal eye contact, and most importantly, he could be using this brain power to, you know, have a more meaningful conversation. So next time we go to a networking event, Josh decides to use Nexus. And you know what I notice? I actually don't notice a lot. Josh presses one button on his phone, puts his phone into his pocket, and has a great conversation. They shake hands, they laugh, they talk, and he comes back to me. Now, the problem with this, Josh, is I wanted you to go over to that VC and get his contact information and send it to me. I didn't see you on your phone at all. Josh takes out his phone, and sure enough, there's the contact. He airdrops it to me, and I can see everything. Key details about the conversation, tags relating to this person, and even some auto found social links relating to this person, which at one click I can just reach out to this guy. I'm amazed, and I thank Josh. And Josh puts his phone into his pocket, and I put mine, and we go out and have meaningful conversations. Now, the real kicker is, I've actually been recording this pitch using Nexus, and I've been talking about one lovable person, Josh, and I'll pass this phone to you, Josh, where you can see the transcript on here. And with the click of one button, I can add Josh Baer, CEO of Capital Factory, working at Capital Factory. I can add your contact here and save you into my contacts. So if you just type in Josh. And then you scroll down, and you save contact. Takes a little bit, but that's me. And there's all your auto-generated tags as well.
Pitch and demo. It's still saving, but I believe you. Oh, there it goes. Well, demo bug. That's okay. It was cool.
Okay? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's always good to do a demo in the in situ when you're doing a pitch. That's always good.
I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure if it was going to work.
Yeah, I can tell. It's okay. If you just do it a lot more times, then you're not. That's all.
What is it about Jason Duke? He's very community feedback.
Yeah.
Very valuable community feedback.
Yeah, I also don't care. But you're nervous, so what? I think if you, it just took a long time to get. It's just so good. I think knowing that it's being recorded and knowing it's going to tag some stuff. There was this big setup about you're at a place and you're talking to people, and then you said things that is not what I would do or Josh. You said Josh is going to sit there and look at his phone and tag things.
Oh, no, I actually do that.
Oh. Well, nobody does that.
This is a replacement for his app.
Oh, okay. But people don't do that. But what they do is they talk and then they're like, who the fuck was that? And I forgot, and I don't get their contact information. That's what happens. So you went to a mixer and you met 20 people, and you don't have any of their information. You forgot even what their name was 2 seconds after you left. I think that's much more common. So I think it's a perfect app idea. I'm sort of actively disbelieving in the idea that in a loud environment it's taking out your conversation, but whatever, that's a technical detail. I like the pitch. Okay, well, I like the pitch, and there's equivalents in Zoom meetings, right? Like people are in business meetings and it takes the notes and then it knows what the next actions are and blah, 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 that makes sense in Zoom. So you could probably cut this pitch way down by referring to that, right? Like, you know how the thing just picks up Zoom and then just knows everything and who's there and what to do? It's that, except you're just literally milling around in social networking, and imagine it was doing that anyways. So I think, again, that's a 10-second version. If it's for business, it sounded like it was. If it's for business stuff,
I guess, yeah.
then that's an easy way to say what it is and what the problem is, and really fast. The other idea is, since it's a conversational thing, you could bring someone up and have a 40-second conversation, tell them to go sit down and say, look what it just did. That would be super amazing, because I know that you said shit at the top, and that was super awkward. It's like, why are you saying I'm at Capital Factory? I now know it's because you were priming it, which tells me it doesn't really work.
Oh, no, I was like mimicking what Josh usually does. I was like, I didn't start the recording.
I don't know that.
Okay, yeah.
You're pitching who? Me? Okay, I don't know that. You're just like up there doing random things. But if you pulled someone up, I think, and then said, look what it just did. It knows who they are. And like, oh wait, what? And that would actually be a demo. Not saying like, don't do like Josh, but rather demoing what it does do. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
and
I'll do that later today.
Yeah,
I'll demo it.
yeah.
For sure.
So great job. I was a little more familiar with where you were going with it, but I agree, to make it more general, you would want to do that. And even just tighten that up, like you might just say like, and you might give 3 examples. Like, I was at this party and I was talking to this one group of people, and they were talking, and then after the person walked away, he turned to me and said, did you get his phone number? Did you get his name? Like, what was his name, right? And I was like, oh shit. And I was talking to this other group of people, and like, they were talking, and the person walked away, and this person, they handed his business card, and as soon as he walked away, they flipped over his business card, they took out a pen and started writing down little notes on the back of the business card. And then I was talking to Josh, And Josh wasn't even looking at me. He kept looking down his phone the whole time, and he was like taking notes on his phone. You know, like, right? You just kind of like wrap that into one of the extreme examples, right? And then you come back to, but then, you know, we have this other way to do it. I think, as you know, I wear the limitless pin, so this does this too. But what I really liked about the app you showed me was that it was structuring it and breaking it down more. And so I think that was a really interesting angle on it. So good job. We're at time, but we're gonna do more pitches because these are awesome.
So, okay, so everybody, about a year ago, I started to start filming content on TikTok and Instagram. So here's how it goes. I pick up my camera for the first time. I'm not scared anymore. I post my first video, flopped, but I ain't a bitch, so I keep posting more and more and more. And eventually, I get my first video at 100K views, million views. They keep going up and up and up, getting followers. Everything's good. But as we know, this common paradigm in life, when one of our smaller problems go away, or when one of our bigger problems go away, rather, our smaller problems tend to magnify. Here's a smaller problem. These videos don't actually just take 30 seconds to make. They take meticulous amounts of editing, audio clipping. I have to choose which retake of a sentence I want to, put on there, stutters. All that is very meticulous, and it's intentional, and it matters. I'm tired of it. I'm trying to post 5 to 10 videos a day. I can't do that. So I asked my friend Jay, he has 1 million followers. How do you do it? You post 10 videos a day, they're all averaging anywhere from 500K, 5 million views. Doesn't matter. How do you not get fatigued from editing? He's like, oh my God, you dumbass, aren't you using Snipper? So I didn't waste time. I download Snipper. It's a camera app that looks just like TikTok. I record my first video. I had all these stutters. I think I repeated the word gym 3 times in a row. I was talking crazy, Stephen Hawking. Dog. Why do I record this video? It edits it, takes about a minute, just loading screen, whatever, cool. And it's ready to go. All the audio gaps are gone, stutters removed, retakes. Doesn't matter if I said, I went to the gym today, I hit arms today, or I hit chest today. It's gonna choose which one I thought was the best. If I had more facial emotion, if I had more hand motion in that clip, it's gonna choose which one's best and actually push it to production. I post this video, gets 1 million views. It's ridiculous. It just took my job, that's normally more from 10 to 20 minutes, into 1 minute. That's pretty much my page. I should have closed it better, but it's called. Yeah. This is my.
So of course the idea is great. There's a lot of stuff that edits, so I'd like to know how it's different. Not right now, but in the pitch. We all know that people auto-edit or take from longer things snippets.
Yeah, of course.
So I'd be really curious to know how it's different from other things.
Can I give you a short answer to that?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I would include that. I would include that, right?
Yes, sir.
I think the other big thing is when you said, "Now here's the thing. It solves a small problem." Wait, what? No, let it solve a big problem, or at least the really painful one. So I wouldn't put yourself down by saying, "Now look, now that somebody else solved the big problem, I'll solve the tiny one." No. I think you are solving a big problem because, as you say, any shithead can just can post one crappy thing a day and it won't work. Exactly. The only way is it has to be a lot per day and produced high quality. Well, wait a minute. If it's both high quality and produced and many times a day, I can't be spending even 30 minutes, which to me still doesn't sound like very much. I can't even spend 30 minutes on because 30 minutes times 10 videos is half the freaking day. Like, I can't do that. So the only way to be successful on TikTok, the only way, is volume and quality, because that's the algo. And the only way to do that is to have either I'm paying someone to literally do that, or of course AI, as we all expect. And so that's a huge problem. That's literally the difference between it's not working, and I'm getting millions of views a day. That is not a small problem, right?
Yeah.
Now, the means might be a small problem.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean? Like get rid of that small stuff. No, you are making the difference between I'm posting a shitty video and spending a lot of time editing. I got millions of followers on board with these views on TikTok.
So we more confidence in the cause, what you're saying.
The value, that's a confidence. But I guess, but the value is that you are able to make 10 videos a day of high quality. Right, that's the value. 10 videos a day of high produced quality, and before you literally cannot. Like impossible. That's what you're doing. You're making that transformation.
You could drop it off. Good job. And I would just say, you were close to a thumbs up. Like, you got to have a strong closer.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like,
right.
it's easy. It's just like download the app, right? Or like whatever it is. It's like, you know, like you gotta have an ask at the end though. Like, why'd you do all this?
So the other day I was watching YouTube videos, going down a little rabbit hole, and I started watching these videos on how producers make their beats. So there was like how Passion Fruit was made, how like Mobamba was made, and I thought like, this can't be that hard. This seems really fun. You know, I grew up playing guitar, like I've always liked music, so why don't I try it? So I download FL Studio, which is one of the more common music production softwares, and I start using it, and I realize like, oh my god, this is so hard. This is so much more difficult than I thought it was. And so I'm like, naturally, you know, I watch a few YouTube videos, like I figure out how I add drums, like how I might add other instruments, like how some plugins work. But I realize that every time I want to do something new, like I have to watch a whole new video for it. There's so much overhead on like learning just to do something so basic. Like I just want to learn on the go, but you can't really do that. You got to do like learn how everything works first. And so I go to one of my music producers friends. His name is Caden, and he tells me like, you know, that's natural, that happens, but you should try this new software out called AIM. And I download AIM and I open it up, and it looks the exact same as the other one. I'm like, dude, this guy hates me. Like, this is the same. It's still so complicated. Like, it's still so hard to use. But then I noticed there's this little like AI feature on the side, AI chat feature. And so I decided, yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll test it out. And so I like make a little basic drum beat on the platform, and then I asked the AI, add more reverb to this, and it just does it. Like, it does it in front of me. It clicks the buttons for me. Like, it opens up the plugin and everything, and it just does it. And I was like, whoa, that's really cool, but I kind of don't like how this reverb sounds. Let me like, I tell it like add some more in the beginning and like kind of make it taper off towards the end. And it just does it. Like I see it again, like it's doing the thing, it's showing me how it did it. And then I'm like, that was cool, but it did it so fast. Like I kind of want to know what it did. So I asked it like, can you do that again slower? Like show me why you did it this way, like what this button does. And it tells me. And it was so cool. Like I was still learning, and I still had my vision, like my creative vision on what I was doing. And it was just like helping me with the implementation details, like teaching me along the way. And now fast forward 2 months, like I'm so much better at music production. Like I'm making music that I like. It's so much more fun, and I've learned a lot along the way, but I didn't have to do all the learning in advance and all the overhead at that time before I can start making anything. Now I can like learn on the way, and it helps me make my creative vision the way that I want to. And I'm a lot more proud of the music that I'm making today.
I think that sounds super cool. And I think, you know, the pitch needs some more practice and a little bit tighter, like stronger closing. Like you gotta have an ask at the end. And part of the ask thing, just real quickly, like anytime you get in front of a whole bunch of people, like take advantage of it. Ask them for something. You know, like give me feedback, sign up for my app, download something, fill out a survey. Like you're here, like use it, right? You know, like so. Anyway, have an ask. I think just really emphasizing like almost every AI tool I've seen today just gives you the answer. And honestly, a lot of times these days it's the wrong answer, so it's a lot of like beating your head against the wall, like, no, do it again, no, do it again, do it again. And what I heard a little bit in what you said was like, hey, it's not just giving me the answer, it's really show me how to do it. And so it gives you the answer, but if I don't like the answer, I don't even have to ask it to do it again. Like, it sounded like maybe part of your example might be like, well, I could just go in and fix it. I saw what it did, so I just fixed it a little bit. And it's that combination of like you and it. Like it showed me what to do, but I knew what to do to, like, because it wasn't getting it quite right. So I fixed it, right? And like, I just think that would really augment it and show the big difference between just having the AI do it for me and having why you want it to teach you, because you can also do it too. But really cool.
So guys, my name is Jasmine, and through raising of hands, who here has ever followed a workout routine on YouTube or watched a video on how to get like abs or anything like that?
Have you seen my abs?
Yeah, I see it. So, when I was 10 years old, I did the same thing. I went on YouTube, decided to get this video. It said, how to get six-pack abs in 5 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, 5 minutes of work, that's all it takes. That's all it is. Played it, end of the workout, I was still fat. So, I decided, okay, it led me down to a rabbit hole of doing different things. So I decided, let me find out how to actually get lean, how to actually build muscle. And there were so many things to do. On YouTube, they said you got to track your calories, you got to track your strength, you got to track your weight, all these different things, and they were giving me different apps, like MyFitnessPal to track your calories, Heavy to track your weight, Happy Scale to track your weight and your strength. I was like, oh my gosh. So I decided to download all three of these, pay $5 per month for all three of these different apps. But it was very, very tedious. So I have to use all three of these different apps, and overall, I wasn't consistent at all. I was in that same stage where I'm pretty sure a lot of us are familiar with, where you go to the gym, You gain those 2 pounds of muscle, and you stop, come back a few weeks later, then you probably lose those 2 pounds of muscle, and then you gain again, and then by the end of the year, you haven't made any progress at all. That's why I decided to create Ascend Fitness. You see, Ascend Fitness track the usual stats. It track your calories, it track your strength, and it track your weight as well, but all in one area. It's an all-in-one inclusive app. In addition to that, we needed something that actually was encouraging and motivating. See, all these apps, you input your data, you give them your calories, your weight, all these things, but they were never visually progressing. There was no visual progress where you'd see and be motivated to continue going. That's when we decided to add a feature called physique rating. Physique rating was where you upload a photo of your physique, preferably with your shirt off, because you can actually see your physique. And it gives you a scale of 1 through 100 of ranges, and it will give you a rating of your biceps, your triceps, your shoulders, and with that, it gives you an overall score, averaging the total of all these different things, all these different muscle groups. So you get like an average overall score of 65. But in addition to your overall score, it gives you a potential score. Your potential score is a much better version of you. It's an 85 overall. It has better biceps, better triceps, better shoulders. You see, at Ascend Fitness, we want you to actually become your potential. And that's what we strive for you to become your potential score.
I like the potential. You stated multiple problems. One was, I can't find videos that I can follow. And then you switch to, you go to the gym, but it's not consistent. And then you switch to, it takes 3 apps instead of 1 to track all this. You gotta pick what this really is. Is it an all-in-one app? Like, because videos online, they are fine. But you didn't solve for the video online problem. If the problem is like, I can't get the right exercises. You didn't solve that. So why did you say that? Right? You didn't close the loop on that at all. So I would just pick the problem that you're actually solving, which I think you know what it is, but just get there. And then you gotta tell the truth. Like, I've used MyFitnessPal. Of course you can put your weight in and it graphs it. So to say like, I needed a different app for that is false. So don't do that. Because anybody knows anything will just immediately go, oh, you either don't know, in which case you're ignorant about your own subject, or you're trying to like lie to me. Now I don't trust you at all. Either way, I don't want to do business with you, whatever that means. So I would be precise about that. I do think you're solving a real problem, and especially with the photos, like you got into stuff that is different and special. So I would get right there. Everyone knows what fitness problems are. We all know. Or at least if we don't, like, we're not interested in your product anyways, right? So get there in like 30 seconds what the problem is. And talk about this cool stuff it does that these other apps don't, or that it is all-in-one, which I do agree. It does take multiple apps, but not in the way that you said. And make it really good so that someone who is struggling with this, in fact, completely resonates with what you said and is interested in trying it.
Really good feedback I take to heart. I think more story. I did actually notice the same thing. I was like, wait a minute, doesn't MyFitnessPal do all that? Like, I use MyFitnessPal, and I'm like, it does most of that stuff. But to me, I mean, you can pick what it is. The coolest thing I heard was like, oh, you take your shirt off and take your picture, and it like automatically like measures your abs. Like that sounded like the thing to me. And yeah, you have to do all that other stuff to get that. Maybe you can just import all the data from MyFitnessPal. You know, like, because honestly, the other thing is like, it's not that credible when you, as a individual in a small startup that's just getting started, say, I'm going to rebuild MyFitnessPal and this other thing and this. You're saying, like, where's all these things? And it's like, well, you're not going to do that for a while. So like, why is someone going to use it at the beginning? And so anyway, so I just think, you know, those are all things that will make it better. But it's cool. But and Jason's, I agree totally with Jason's feedback. Like, dial it in. Yeah. Awesome. Appreciate it.
It's 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. I have just finished my accounting homework, and I ideally want to sleep by 10 p.m. to wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. for a morning run with my friends. However, I have an even bigger task on hand. I now need to draft many emails to send to bankers to hopefully get on calls with them and then eventually get an interview with that firm later down the line. So I get on my laptop, jump on LinkedIn, and start searching around. I find a list of 20 bankers that seem to have something in common with me, such as playing soccer, and start meticulously and tediously writing emails for them. And worst of all, I now have to put in my calendar availability into every single email. I pull up my monitor on the other side, go to my Google Calendar, and manually start typing away. Monday, I'm free from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., and the list goes on and on and on. After I am done with this entire task and I schedule all the emails for the next day, I look up and shoot, it's already midnight. I spent 3 hours simply going through this entire email routine, and I've literally gone 2 hours past my bedtime, so I immediately close my laptop, take a shower, go to sleep, in hopes of getting up in the morning at 6 a.m. with my morning run with my friends. The problem is, I am probably the biggest sleeper on planet Earth, so I did not wake up from my alarms, and my friends were knocking on my door at 6 a.m. I did not wake up at all, and it was a very bad start to the morning overall. Later during the day, during my accounting class, my friend Sean was mentioning this tool that he's been using called Next Step that essentially eases up the entire recruitment effort. I started using that night, and it was a total game changer. With Next Step, I literally gave it my resume, my LinkedIn, and my hobbies, and it created a list of 20 bankers that I could reach out to network with. And even better yet, it created those personalized emails for me so that I could simply hit send and sync up with my Google Calendar to be able to, for me to not manually type in my calendar availability ever again. With Next Step, I was able to finish in literally 20 minutes, instead of spending 3 hours on that same exact thing every single night. And that allowed me to, watch shows, sleep early, and wake up on time for the morning run with my friends at 6 a.m. the next day. With Next Step, it was a game changer for my recruitment effort. And if you're going through that as well, take that next step for your future and use the tool for your future success. Thank you.
All right, so it's getting better. Some things to notice, you're over time, and that's gonna matter. And that's gonna tell you, you're probably starting to lose people's attention too. So your story technically checked the boxes. You were doing the right things. There wasn't a really great story. I wasn't super into it, I was kind of a little bit of a story. Then we did this, and then we did this, and then we did this. And so figuring out how to tighten that up and make it more exciting. I'm not sure I agree with what the real problem is you're solving. You focus a lot on saving time and the calendar problem. As soon as you mention we do calendar scheduling for you, you almost lose me because there's so many things that do calendar scheduling. That's super solved problem. That's not a big thing you're solving. It's we figure out when their calendar can be. So and maybe this isn't right, but just when I'm riffing on what you said, what I heard that might be interesting was hey, guess what? I know a better way to do networking than everybody else who's just showing up at happy hours and do whatever. And it's more that your trick is your method, which you brush off as no big deal. You're just you need to do this, blah, 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 and here's how time consuming it is, blah, blah, blah. And instead say I've got this method that's really effective for getting me meetings and getting me good connections, and this tool lets other people get that method. And yeah, it's time, if they were doing it themselves, it'd be time consuming and it would be all those other things. But it's more to me about what I heard was you've got a savvy way to do outreach that probably a lot of people aren't even doing.
Did you get the job?
Yeah.
That's
all right.
The story.
There we go.
The story is I couldn't get a job because I was cold calling people and it was taking me 10 minutes per email to send it out. And it was incredibly tedious, and so I wasn't getting anywhere. But here, in less than an hour, I had all these high-quality, detailed, customized email sets. So I actually got callbacks, and I got the job. No one cares that you missed your running. It's still low stakes. Oh, a college kid stayed up extra late once. It's just such an uninteresting, low-stakes thing. But I need to get hired. It's impossible to get noticed nowadays. And it's really hard nowadays to get hired at all because of fucking AI. All jobs are going away.
Run in the morning versus
Who cares? I don't have a job. Everyone else is doing the same in-mails and the same people, the same nonsense. This thing allowed me to go further and more customized. And so I was able to actually get the interviews and then get a job. I have a job thanks to this tool. That's the story. That is extremely high stakes.
All right. Two more? This is great. You guys are, three more. Two more. These are awesome.
Cool. Hi everyone, my name is Josh, and I'm a junior at the University of Texas. So I've spent the last 5 semesters paying tuition and going through the expenses of college pretty much. And it's expensive, right? I'm spending a lot of money. Let me bring you back to the spring semester. After I pay my tuition, my room and board and everything, I'm looking at my classes, right? And I go to the portal to pay for my textbooks, and it's $600. That's damn near extortion for a class that I'm already paying for on top of. So when I'm complaining, I'm talking to my buddies, and they're saying, yeah, just go pirate it, or let's all share this login. And I just don't want to deal with that whole ordeal, and I'm a super ethical person, so I spend the $400, but with anger, right? So I go to dinner the next day, and my aunt works at Pearson, so I'm yelling at her. I'm like, hey, I just spent $400 on textbooks for classes that I already paid for at a school that I'm paying tuition for. And she got mad at me. She was like, you're actually paying for those things? We lose on 70% of our students. People aren't paying. They're pirating it. And I was thinking, like, really? Am I one of the only people that's doing this out here? She goes, no, like, there's another option. Have you looked into uprising? It's the student rebellion. I said, what's that? She walks me through the ideas. So uprising is partnered with Pearson. So rather than losing out on 70% of students that won't sign up for the service, Pearson gets a percentage of the fees through sharing. And I was thinking about it, it makes sense. We already share all of our expenses. I mean, I request Venmo stuff for pretty much every trip that I go out for. Students in college are already sharing these things. Why not textbooks? So I looked at it this fall, instead of spending the hundreds of dollars that I would at the portal. And for a simple $30 fee, I was already sharing a textbook with the rest of my classroom. But I have my own login. I don't have to flip-flop from different people's emails. I don't have to go to a sketchy website that corrupts the PDF after 2 chapters. It's all right there for me, it's mine, and everyone else is happy. So students here, if you guys are tired and you want to join the rebellion, sign up for Uprising.
That was awesome. I really like that. I think it's super interesting. The pitch was good. You might need to do it one more time to get a thumbs up, but it was really solid. Great call to action. I love the name. Is it real?
Not yet.
Okay, do you have a deal with Pearson?
Yeah, I was speaking to someone about that.
You have a conversation with Pearson?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think any kind of arbitrage is really cool. Anytime you can take breakage or something that's not like losing money and turn it into making money is, you know, a very practical, really good thing to do. I'm good friends, and he's a big Austin fan with Mike Maples, who's a really great investor, and he was one of the first investors in Chegg. You know Chegg? Yeah, Chegg's like is like resell or loan your or like rent the place, but it's not like and it's more like physical tech books. I think I don't know. I haven't caught up with it lately, but I don't think it's exactly the same. So anyway, he might be an interesting person to talk to, but super cool, super cool.
I stood in front of a room full of people. My slides were up on the big screen, and while I had practiced a bit, I was also very nervous. And the moment I started, I caught myself racing through my words. Now, much to my horror, someone was falling asleep. In the front row, someone had their phone out, they're scrolling on TikTok. There's people laughing in the back. I wasn't sure if they're laughing at me, at the TikTok, maybe a TikTok of me. I was so lost, I was confused, and more than anything, I felt frustrated and humiliated by the end of that. And after that, my friends were, they're helping me feel better. But then one of them told me about Slides Coach, and I was like, well, what is Slides Coach? What is that? And the way Slides Coach works is you upload a PDF of your presentation, you turn your camera and microphone on, and that's it. Then every time you rehearse, it gives you metrics on things like the words per minute, the tone that you use, how aligned what you're saying is aligned with the content on your presentation. And it gives you these different metrics, so that way next time you're giving a presentation, it's aligned with exactly the message that you're trying to deliver. So next time I give that same presentation, and it goes perfect. Everyone is laughing, not at me, but with me. People have their phones out, but they're not scrolling on TikTok. They're taking videos of me, and I know. And it goes great, and it goes according to plan. So next time you're preparing for a presentation, check out Slides Coach and excel in your presentations. Thank you.
I really like that. You're also nice and tight. That was only a minute 30. And I know exactly what it is. I know exactly what it is. And I know a billion people literally have this problem and want to do better presentations. Because it doesn't matter whether it's at school or it's at work or it's over Zoom or it's a job interview. Like, you want to do better there, right? So I loved all that. So I'll skip over to your presentation. If you were running through this AI, one of the things I think you would say is that it felt like you were reading or memorized something that you would never say. It's okay if you would say it, but you just use words that that you yourself would never say. In other words, the typical way that you coach someone through that is you say, "That's interesting. So just so what is that about again? And then you'd say, oh yeah, and you'd say something else. You'd say like, if you're bad at presentations, you walk up and like everything sucks and you feel like everyone's looking at you and making fun of you, even though they're probably not. But then you're in your head and then. Yeah, I know what you mean. This coaches you, into being a great presenter. Or something. That's actually the words you would use. Because it just felt so artificial. Because you were clearly, it's a classic like NPR trick. Is you don't write your speech the way you write a blog post or an ad. Because no one talks like that. So I think AI your own tool could help you with that. But so just style, because I think the substance is awesome.
Yeah, super cool. I really like the idea itself. There's an entrepreneur in town. His name is Noah Zandan. He has a company called Quantified AI, and it's kind of like this a little bit. You should check it out. It's like public speaking coaching, and he uses AI. But I think this is really interesting, really good. And I would think you could build a demo of this if you wanted to demo it next week. I think you could get ChatGPT to do this with a prompt. I think you could design a really good prompt that asked for all those things you said, and then just upload a video of your video and be like, give me the report back. And it doesn't mean you can't build an app to do more, but I think you could demo this with a prompt. Here's what I built that does it. So really cool. All right.
You know what you can do is record yourself doing what you just did, right?
Oh yeah.
And then in your next pitch, the first half of the problem, you do it that way on purpose. And then you say, and the rest of it you're just smooth and good and whatever, I don't know, whatever the hell it is, and just change in the middle. You don't even have to call attention to it because it will be really obvious. That'd be really neat. You're not demoing the software, but you're demoing the result, which would be really cool.
Yeah. All right, great job. All right, we went long on pitches today. Those were great. Those are really the best pitches so far. I really see big improvements and see people really listening to what we've been saying, particularly about the story stuff, which is really important to me. Those were really strong in that way. I could see people really taking that to heart. So, yeah, great job. And lots of new people pitching that hadn't pitched before. So, great. We're going to have a little less time for demos today. So, next week, we're going to have a little more time for demos. We might only do 5 pitches and have more time for demos. Does that sound good, Anjali? Anjali, let's switch to demos and maybe let's do 5 demos. No, 4 demos. Awesome. Brave first demoer. And I'm super excited to see what you did. I don't really know what to expect for this one. Oh, and then Nate, we have another guest, Nate. Nate, I don't want to block you up, so they're going to do demos for 20 minutes. If you want to give your pitch right now, you can.
Yeah.
If you want to wait, you can. It's up to you.
I got to run.
You got to run. Okay, wait, we're going to do one more pitch. Nate, this is going to replace my pitch at the end. So my friend Nate's here. Nate is a great entrepreneur. He's been an investor. We're working with his company now. He was just sitting in and watching. And so I asked him to give you one more idea of something you could build for next week. I'm sorry, they're going to copy you. He's going to pitch you the startup he's working on right now, which is really cool.
All right, so it's been a while since I've done the time pitch thing. So you guys are all going to have to pretend you're like your marketing executives, because this is not a consumer company. So just pretend that you're marketing executives, and it's been a long time since I've done a time pitch.
On the spot.
No, I love it. Let's go. All right. Hi, my name's Nate Jones. I've worked with celebrities and with brands for 10 years. Decided to build this company. So the premise of what I'm building is essentially audio is basically eating the internet, which means the browser is probably going away. We're seeing the advent of audio agents taking over the internet already, and so you can see that the dominant way of talking to machines is probably going to be audio in the future. At the same point in time, the identity layer for the audio internet does not exist yet, so who's building that, right? So what we're building is AdTwin, which is essentially a way for brands to license directly from celebrities, license their voices for endorsements. And what we do is we essentially measure the back end, the performance of these voices, so that they can find out if it's really selling product for their brand. So why is this important, the way that we do this? Well, for one, right now, if I'm a CMO and I go to my COO or my CEO and I pitch them, I need $5 million for this celebrity, it's a high risk ask for me to do that, right? So what we propose to them is just test on audio, spend 200K, 300K, you know, licensing an audio campaign with a specific celebrity. You get the performance data. The performance data validates whether you should do an all-encompassing brand endorsement with that celebrity. On the celebrity side, literally I'm getting money coming into my bank account without doing a thing, right? I didn't go into the studio. I didn't have to go and like record my voice. I didn't have to do really anything except set up some parameters around what I need as far as reputational safety. And so we built an entire system that allows you to both protect your reputation if you're a celebrity, or protect your brand image if you're a brand, and again, be able to test with different celebrity voices to see if they can sell or move product. The future state of the company is that eventually down the road that we'll be able to quantify fair market value for all of these voices, and then create an asset market for private equity buyers who might want to buy 20% equity in Snoop Dogg's voice, and that type of thing. So that's adtwin.ai.
Great job. Thanks, buddy.
How'd
I see he's got a
How'd I
great...
do, man? How'd I do? Great.
You can see he's got a great...
Be easy on me.
He's got a great voice. All right, you guys are up next. Excited to see your demos, and let's hear first.
Okay, so the app I created is something I want to pitch, and it's still in the workings. But just a show of hands, how many of us cook our meals every week? Yeah, me too. As a college freshman, it's been rough. But anyways, so that's why I created MealMate. It's a platform where you can buy your groceries as complete meals with the exact amount of ingredients you need. And so I'm going to show you guys how it works. So here's the home page, and you can scroll, and I only have 3 meals right now. But say I want to make veggie stir fry, only 15 minutes. So I can click on it, and then I can scroll and see the ingredients that I'm buying, how much each one costs, and the instructions. And it also tells me that it's vegetarian and it'll be quick. Okay, so I want to buy this. Add it to my order, and then shows up in my cart. Cool. And so there's also some like filters that I can apply. So say I don't want to spend more than 20 minutes. So under 20 minutes, it shows me all the meals. Maybe I'm vegetarian, I can click that. And if you click the budget friendly option, it shows you like the cheapest meals on the app. And so that's about it for now. I want to develop it more, so I was wondering if I could get any feedback from any of the students or Josh about how I can improve it. And yeah.
So just to understand it, so now, what happens if you add a second thing to your cart? Does it combine all the ingredients?
Sorry, what's your question?
Add a second item to your cart?
So I can add this to my cart.
Like, will it then like double, like, then it is your ingredients now, like, it tells you, okay, you need twice as much broccoli.
Okay, so say I add it like 5 times, then it'll like 5 cups of broccoli now.
Yeah. I'm just gonna make sure I understand it. So you'd like, you know, I put in a bunch of different meals, and it's gonna figure out, for this meal you need this much broccoli, for this meal you need this much broccoli. So in total,
yeah, that's like the total amount of broccoli you need for all my appearance.
And it's like one serving though, not like a typical, like most people are, like a lot of things I've seen like this are doing families.
So like say I only want 1 serving, then I just put it once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think this is awesome, super cool. I just met another entrepreneur walking up to the office today outside. His name is Joey. He's just started working here, and he's working on a meal planning app that combines some of these things, and so just in the community. And then another something you should go look up and research, just because it's a little bit in this space and really interesting. There was a startup about 10 years ago in Austin called Food on the Table. It was started by a guy named Manuel Rosso, who's a great entrepreneur, and he built it very much in public. Like, he was blogging and sharing everything as he did it, and he sold it to Scripps, which is like a really good exit, good company for that. So probably something you can learn from. Really cool. Thumbs up. Good job.
Thank you.
Angela, you got that? Wait, one last thing. Did you build that with AI?
Yeah, I don't know how to code at all. So
Really?
Yeah.
What's your major?
So basically, I'm ecology.
And so, sorry, we were supposed to ask this. Tell us a little bit about how you built it.
So I just use Replit because I had no idea how to code and I just had an idea. So yeah.
Okay, just got even better. I'm super impressed that you did that. You didn't know how to code. That's awesome. That's part of what we're trying to show people how to do. So super cool.
There's so much I can do with like the free option on my plate, so yeah.
Awesome. Good job.
All right, so you all can probably recognize what this app is. It's the contact app that Josh mentioned from last class.
Yay!
The idea, yeah, it's a gift. It's a gift to you. So, do you mind coming up here and demoing the app? Thank you so much. So, first of all, basically, how this works is you can it syncs with your contacts. So if I go ahead and add a contact, you'll see that live updates. Let's say. So now, you see that when I refresh, it pops up. And then how this works is basically you record a conversation, and it should automatically transcribe and tag the conversation. Yeah, first meeting, and then you click this button.
Oh, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
Oh, this is you. But, yeah.
Okay, well, this is such an awesome meeting. I got to remember that I should definitely introduce you to Jason Cohen. And you should practice your pitch with him because he's super helpful. And also, you should make sure to sign up for a Capital Factory membership.
So we stop the conversation, and then we'll go ahead and tag and transcribe the conversation. And in a couple seconds, we should see the tags that come out of it. Yeah. So here we get 6 tags: entrepreneurship, networking, tech industry, Jason Cohen, Capital Factory in Austin. So that's pretty solid. It's basically hits on a couple of main points that he said. Additionally, if we scroll down to the history, we can see that there's a conversation history listed. And if we get inside this conversation history, we can see that we get a nice summary of the overall conversation, as well as the tags that are associated with that conversation. Additionally, we can see a full transcription of the entire conversation. So you can see, oh, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. And also a audio playback of the entire conversation for memory and later use.
Wow.
And then, the next feature that I've implemented is a AI search. And so what this does, which is different than I think what Josh demoed from last class, is that instead of just going by keyword searches, it'll also allow you to do fuzzy search, which means that if I have these, so let me direct you to these 2 people here. One is Marcus Lee, and one is John Smith. So John Smith, he is a back-end engineer who's working in fintech in New York. And then also we have here, oh, and I think he also likes coffee. And then Marcus Lee is also in fintech, but he likes to run. So what I can do with this basically is if I go to the search and I search for like a person who is current in blockchain, right? That's obviously on the fintech route. We see that John Smith pops up first because he's obviously involved in fintech. If I also add who likes to run, hopefully the demo works. Yeah, we got Marcus Lee. Oh. Yeah, there we go. We got Marcus Lee popping up first because he's the guy who is in fintech, but he also has that tag of running, right? So we can see that even though these tags aren't exactly mentioned, the search is still returning the correct people properly. Additionally, we can also share these contacts. So if I select these guys, I can go here and then click share. And there's no messaging app on this demo, but if there was one, it would draft an actual message and send it to them. And then also I added a calendar integration. So you can see this is your this is directly synced up to your Apple Calendar. This is the default simulator, so there's not many events on there. So if I go to Thursday, for example, we can see that I added a software recruiting fair and also the suggested contacts for that fair. So if I drop that down, we can see that we get David Taylor, who is he's a software engineer, and I'm sure all the rest are also software engineers. But basically you can see that this feature allows you to suggest people who would like to go to the event or want to learn more about the event. You can kind of keep your network more encapsulated and
Okay, this is awesome. We need it for time. That's the thing, but I'm super impressed. I want to try it, and I want really more stuff to do with it. How did you build it?
I did Cursor.
Cursor? Okay, and what's your major?
I'm a computer science major.
You're a computer science. So have you done stuff with Cursor before?
Yeah, I did a bunch of Cursor, but not like a full end-to-end application like this.
Yeah, it looks really nice, and I really like the AI stuff you did. Like, I'm super interested in using this more, like, to iterate on it.
Perfect.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Thumbs up.
Hi everyone, my name is Harini. I'm a freshman right now, and so I currently dorm on campus, so I'm looking for more apartments to live in next year with my roommates. And so because of that, the past 2 weeks have been a lot of like apartment touring, calling different offices, inquiring about leases and things like that. And it's hard to find like a good schedule between like me and my roommates. We're trying to look for a 5x5. And so the entire process has been really hectic. And so I made Longhorn Lease, and it's basically just to make the apartment searching process easier. And so the first page are different apartments around the UT area. This is all just sample data, but under each apartment there'll be like, you can email them directions to them, what kind of floor plans they have available, some tips for you, and you can save it to my list. And then these are all the apartments that I'm interested in. And then the main functionality is the compare tab. So these are some of the main things that me and my roommates were looking for in an apartment. So like the distance between all of us for all different majors, so our buildings are in different areas. So how far each place is in relation to the tower, and then what floor plans they have available. X means there's no more available, check means there are some units available, and this time running out means there's like, if there's a 3x3, one room is taken, and then there's 2 more. And then there's charts to compare the prices. Price is like a huge factor for us. So we want, I feel like this is a good way to compare the different options that we have, and then the apartment amenities. And this is sample data, so it's not updating properly, but yeah.
Super cool. Tell us how you build it.
I use it with Glide apps, so it's no for.
Which one's called?
Glide apps.
Glide apps?
Yeah, so you basically just tell it what prompt you want, and I uploaded some Google Sheets with like the apartment names and what kind of data I wanted.
Are you familiar with apartments.com? Okay, so what it sounds like, it's like a website that looks kind of like this. They do $1 billion in revenue a year. Stormy's coming after you guys. Sorry. She's like, what's going on? So yeah, you just basically built $1 billion revenue company in like a week using, an AI coder. That's pretty awesome. Obviously, there's a lot more to building a business, but like, that's pretty much what their site does. Like, it's pretty cool. Good job. I think that's another thumbs up. Oh, now I get to see it.
So this is Aura Farm. So I already described it in the beginning. So here's the current rankings. Right now there's only like 46 users, but these are all real people, except for one I think is called a test user. I am here. I gave myself 10,000 originally, but then I thought that's unfair. And then we go to the Aura circles over here. So these are the ones that I created. I can open it. And then we go to the Explore section, and you can join open public ones. So for example, like this, then I go back, I join that, and then I can request to join one of these, sorry, I don't have control. So we'll see it in manage requests, and they can accept it. And then here are my friends over here. So I have a couple of friends. I can view the friend activity, and I can see everything. So it's kind of like Venmo in that sense. You can have descriptions. This is a feature where if you don't give Aura for 3 days, you lose 5%, because I don't want people to hoard it for themselves. So it kind of motivates them to keep giving. But the issue is that the variable I'm getting from the server is like, so basically it's checking if the user matches, because you can't send transactions to yourself. So if there is one sent, it means you were taken away, it was taken away from you. But the issue is that the code is like looking at yourself, and then it makes that seem red. So it's supposed to be red over here because failed to give aura, you lose this. But I know how to fix that. That'll be fixed probably tonight. And then you can give aura here. So I'm thinking of my friend Ion. Yeah. I'll give him 25. And there we go. He gained 25. Let's look at today's. Well, if you scan on the iPhone, you can look at the all-time and today's rankings, but it doesn't work on web, unfortunately, yet. Then you can look at your own profile. This is my badge. I'm pretty cooked right now. I don't have anything. And then this is how much I've given. And I don't really have a ranking because I have none. But yeah, that's all the features I've implemented so far. Profile picture over here. And am I allowed to put a QR code to sign up for this?
Yeah.
Or no? Okay. There's a QR code like right here.
Go ahead, as Kevin asked. This is super cool. Really impressed with both the pitch and I think what you're building sounds really cool. How'd you build it? What'd you build it in? How'd you build it?
Cursor.
Cursor. And what's are you a CS programmer?
I'm computer. Sorry, what?
Are you computer science?
Yes, I'm
computer science. So I think the next version of this, if I was going to work on it more, I'd be working on like the UI and how to make it really like maybe it look different on a mobile app, but like just kind of like, okay, now how do you make this? Has got to be something really easy, like for me to throw it, give Jason some karma, or things like that. Jason, you just posted about karma, actually, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking about karma on Twitter. All right, great, awesome, good job. All right, so that was great. One more, come on.
Just real short, I know we're running low on time. I just wanted to show the app real quick. Yeah, so. Oh. Alright, yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's the app. I mean, we already saw like I kind of did a demo. So we already saw like it recording audio and like all that stuff. I wasn't able to show you the saving. What is this? So in contact, as everybody can see, that's the time and everything. There's the speech, and then here's your commitment that you made during the commitment that I made during the thing, because I'm the user. So I said I'll pass this phone to Josh, and then it registered that. And then, just real quick, as another like sample, this is my uncle right here, and I just had like a couple of fake conversations with him, just on Zoom. And I wanted to show this other feature. So you know how I said like it auto generates like socials and stuff? So I was done with this enrich button, and it's in a database of 3 billion unique people. And this is super, it says already enriched, because it's already enriched, but it's super useful because it gives you all this information about like the company that he works for, professional details.
Where did you get that from?
That's from People Data Labs, and I had to sign up through my university email to get access to it. Career milestones, when the job was last verified, and online presence, there's this LinkedIn. And there is also a relationship score, which I think is not populating because, oh, there we go. There's a relationship panel right here, and it gives you a score based on like the interactions that you had with the person, as well as it takes their data, it takes your data, sees if you've worked at any companies like in the past, and like gives you a score based on that. So higher the score, the more people you can refer them to, or like the information or whatever. So
Awesome.
That's just what makes this a little different.
Great job. I want to try it out. Let me know when I can try it. All right. Yeah. Really good job, everybody. Great demos. I think we'll try this week. We'll try to shift a little bit more time to demos next week. It seems like there's a lot of them, and I want to see them. But we'll have time for pitches too. And we'll spend the rest of the time today with Jason. Thanks for sitting through all that, giving great feedback. I've told you a little bit about Jason before already, leading up to this. But Jason, I've worked with a lot personally in a lot of different ways. He's a co-founder here at Capital Factory. He's when I first met him, we were both running small businesses kind of before this, and I kind of met him as he was selling his first, or probably his second or third business, I don't know. And then he's been a great mentor here. He started WP Engine, and I got to help with that, which has been one of the greatest companies I've ever been involved in, and just a huge success. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. And he's also, I've mentioned just, many times before, I like to in front of him and other people, but as you heard, like, he gives really great candid feedback. I think one of his real special superpowers is being able to pull. Perfect is when I gave him, we had Gary here last week, and he gave his pitch and his demo, but wasn't, we're still learning, and even though I love Garrett, and I sent him the instructions, I don't know if he read all the instructions about what to go do, and so it wasn't necessarily a demo you could go do. Jason totally got the instructions perfectly right, and not only that, when I asked him about making his pitch, he went and pulled up a pitch he did from 2011 here at Capital Factory, which was like one of the first times he pitched it. And so instead of having him pitch it, we're actually going to play for you the pitch, which you might have seen already, from his first, very early time pitching WP Engine, which now is a company that I'm sure it's much bigger than this now, but like a while ago I remember having more than 100,000 customers, more than 200,000 customers, more than $100 million in revenue, probably a lot more than that now too. And I'm sure worth more than $1 billion. They have their office is downtown. You'll see the WP Engine logo up on the building. And not only that, as I've worked with a lot of companies, it's really, they have a great culture, and a lot of that most of it comes from Jason, but other great people there too. And because of that, like, it's actually, I mean this, and I've said it before, it's like one of the companies I'm most proud to be part of, like to have been involved with, because they just do great things. They're great to their, people love working there, and they have a really great careers there too. So with that, we're gonna play the video, and then I'm gonna hand over to Jason, who he might do some demo, and he'll answer questions with all of you for the rest of the time, and it should be really fun.
We are the premier managed WordPress hosting company. Here's the Twitterable moment, so get your phones out, ready? We are Heroku for WordPress. That means we manage the servers and the software and all the IT work. But because we're focused on WordPress, we can do 3 things better than Heroku can do for Rails. Number 1, we make your site really fast. On average, our customers see a 400% speed improvement when they move to WordPress Engine. And this is important because when people see the white screen of your blog not loading yet, they hit back, right? And in fact, there are dozens and dozens of studies that show that fast page loads mean that people stay and they click more, which, especially if you're ad-driven, means literally more money. And of course, Google and Bing both will rank your site higher in search position if your site's faster. So that's the first thing. The second thing we do is we scale with traffic. The other day, one of our customers got on the TV show 2020. They experienced 2,000 hits per second as an average over 15 minutes. And they didn't tell us first. So this was an unintended test of our scalability, and our site stayed up and it was fast. The third thing that we do is security. WordPress does get hacked a lot, but the number one reason why WordPress gets hacked is because you're not on the latest version. And keeping your version up to date, we do automatically for you. The second biggest reason, or most common reason, that WordPress sites get hacked is not WordPress at all, is that the server it's running on, or the hosting company, gets hacked. And that's why our focus on security is so important and valuable to people running WordPress. Now, the WordPress market is huge. Depending on who you ask, between 8 and 14% of every website on earth is powered by WordPress. And we're growing fast too. In the first 7 months after launch, we got cash flow positive. Then we hired 2 people and got profitable again in just 6 months. So in other words, people like our stuff, they like our what we have to say, our business model works, and it's a huge market, so we decided to throw gasoline on the fire and raise a Series A, which we've done with Silverton leading, and we have about 60K remaining that we have set aside for strategic investors. So if you think you might be one of those strategic investors, or if you or one of your companies has a WordPress blog and you would like it to be faster or rank higher on Google and so forth, then come talk to me. I'll be here after the program, of course, and during the crawl. And thanks everybody a lot. This is the last presentation, so hope you enjoyed the speed pitches.
All right, we have it on video because Nellie is still mad at me because she says I never gave her the chance to invest in capital. We never gave her the chance to invest in capital in WP Engine, but it's right there on video. She was there in the audience. You said it. Like there was room.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send to that video. Okay, Jason, please come on up. Yeah, first, I mean, just talk a little bit about that pitch and what, like, and this, we talked about this leading in. So yeah, talk about that pitch and how it might be different today.
It's not that different today. People still sign up for those reasons. We do a lot more today, but of course it's whatever, 15 years later, we've done lots of things. So another thing, so besides hosting WordPress, today we have lots of developer tools. Millions of people use our developer tools, even people that don't host with us. And so the developer tools and supporting people who build the sites is now just as big as the part where we run the site. So today the pitch would be expanded because it's a bigger company that does more, just like Google doesn't do one thing either. But it's still pretty much that's the reason. One interesting thing about the pitch, well, first of all, it's 3 minutes, not 2 minutes, that pitch, so I got a little more time than you guys did, so that's a little cheap. But one thing you'll notice is I didn't really tell stories. Like I didn't do the thing where I'm like, you know, I had a blog, but that is my story. My story is in fact that I have a blog. I still have a blog actually. Blogging was cool then, now I don't know.
It's a great blog you should read too. asmartbear.com.
Yeah. And I would get on Hacker News, a link sharing site, and the blog would crash. And that's where I got all my, almost all my traffic. It was the worst time to crash. In fact, I look at my my web stats, and over 90% of all my traffic happened on those Hacker days when also it would crash. I was losing literally almost all my traffic to crashing because of scale. So I do have a story. I do have a personal story of having the problem and then needing to solve it. Now in 3 minutes, should I tell a story? Maybe. Maybe it's a pretty good personal story. But I instead spent the time to make those 3 critical problems: speed, scale, security, laser clear. But notice that I did say why though. You don't just say it's, you know, if your site's faster, you get ranked higher on Google. But notice what I did not do. If you rank higher on Google, you get more traffic, and like everybody wants more traffic because you know that already. Now in a longer pitch, I could say that, but if I got 3 minutes, I've got to assume that the audience understands that getting more traffic is, you know, good, and people might want to pay to get more traffic. And I didn't have time to talk about scalability either, but
And I just want to also, there were no buzzwords in his whole pitch.
Oh yeah.
Like when you said, like, this is what it does. It makes your site faster. It makes it keeps it from getting hacked. You know, like it was just like so simple, you know, and easy to understand.
Yeah, so you notice that the stories were minimal. They weren't like telling a story. They were examples, right? In security, there's 2 reasons why things get hacked, and we handle the 2 things so that, you know, of course we do. So I also have the size of the market. Maybe that's not the kind of pitches you guys are doing, so that's okay. But in that case, it was. And so those kind of investors want to hear, like, can it get big? Of course, it did. But the reason it can get big is because everyone has a website, and WordPress in particular was really big. At the time, it was about 11% of the internet. Now it's 43% of the internet, by the way. So that was 43.
You realize how big that is?
It's almost half the internet.
I remember when Jason came and started talking about this, and we were talking about it. It was like, okay, WPMD or WordPress, it's 10% of the whole internet. And like that was enough. Like I wasn't even thinking about it getting bigger. I was just like, it's 10% of the whole internet. Like this is a huge market.
Yeah.
And to think that now it's like almost half the internet just completely blows my mind.
Yeah, I used to say it's like 10% of the internet. It's like infinity but minus 1 0. That's how big WordPress is. Because compared to us, that's what I mean. These numbers are insane. But now we have run about 2.5% of every website, not WordPress websites. Period. We run about 2.5%.
WP Engine, your company,
our
runs
company
2.5%
runs
of all the websites you might ever go to.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool, but not what I was thinking then. I was like,
and your pitch never said if we get 1% of the market.
Yes, that's a good thing, you know, that you shouldn't say.
Even though you did.
But we did it. All right. What else? So that brings up a meta point that I always think about pitches, which is the problem with pitch feedback, including the pitch feedback that I gave you, is that people want different things. Like Josh loves the stories. I remember Capital Factory's like, don't just jump into the product. Like, tell me a story. Tell me about Carol who goes to the store and she can't find the thing, and then she needs the thing, and you have the thing that she needs. You know, tell me that. And then I always think like, oh, as soon as you're like, meet Carol, like I really don't want to. I don't care. Like, just tell me, like, you know, tell me putting together a shopping list sucks. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's the end of the story to me. I get it. You know, textbooks are ridiculously expensive, and my only other choice is to steal them, which I don't want to do. Well, there's a solution where they're less expensive and I'm not stealing. And that was what, 10 seconds? Now, on the other hand, it's not a story. So it just depends. I remember one time, Mark Suster is another fantastic VC out of LA, and also like.
was here last week and did not tell us.
Who? Mark Suster?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go. And also gives like really good advice and about startups in general and pitches too. And I remember one time watching pitches with him, and this person started, and I like where they started. They're just like, this is I don't even remember what the kind of company it was, so who cares what they said. And Mark just goes, whoa, 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 time out, stop. Just interrupted them right at the top of what would have been like a 10-minute thing, right? I don't know who you are. Who am I talking to? The first slide should be about us. I'm this, I have this background, I went to this school, I had this experience, this is my co-founder or somebody else. Now that I know who you are, now you can tell me. Now I met you, and you can tell me. Now, we noticed this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here going, once again, I couldn't care less who you are. I don't care whether you went to school or not or where. I don't care what your degree was in. I don't even that much care about the experience. Like, either you have identified an interesting problem or opportunity, and I think it seems like you can do it. Okay, maybe at the end you could say, by the way, we're the perfect team for this. Why us? Because I solved problems just like this in my last job. That's why I know how to do it. And my CTO is, I don't know, made apps out of the lab, right? So we're the perfect team to do this. Okay, I like that. I want to see that at the end. I'm not interested. But Mark is exactly the opposite and interrupts them if they don't say it first. So all that tells you is, like that. So one thing is, finish in under 2 minutes, because you're in control of that. That's good advice anyway. And it will just force you to cut shit out. And so even if it is a story, and about okay, I missed my run or whatever. Again, I think it's a story about getting a job. But even so, I spent 3 hours the other day sending out emails to try to get a job. And then the next day, my friends said, I sent out 27 emails too. It took me 20 minutes of this tool. I'm like, what? I said, again, that's probably 10, 12 seconds. I'm still telling a story about me, and I'm just like, right? So the time frame's good because it just forces you to cut out all the fluff and get there. And I know that maybe a story's good, but maybe not. Maybe that's not your style as stories. It's something else. But it's got to be punchy and interesting, right? But like maybe it's not a story. Mine's not a story.
And just as a reminder, like my perspective on it, I do love the stories, but my point is like if you're starting from scratch and you're not a pro pitcher and you don't have a bunch of traction and all these other things to talk about that Jason could say, start with the story. Once you get the story down, then go try something else. Like you can riff on it. Like it's a really good starting point.
Yeah. So it's hard. So like I know what I'm giving when I'm saying these things. That's just that's just what I like. But so what? So often with pitches, with real pitches, I mean, if it's a pitch competition, it's whatever. But like if you're actually pitching to in a group in an audience, usually what you do is you have a whole bunch of slides with all kinds of stuff, and the room just let the room dry. That's fine. They want to see this next, they want to see that next, and you just like kind of go wherever because you can't.
You mean like a VC meeting?
Like a VC meeting,
exactly.
Like a pitch, for pitching in that sense.
Yeah,
that's often
just
good.
Just to put a little more on that, like say if you actually go to a VC meeting and you sit down and you present to like a room full of like 5 or 6 people, and you just go through your slide from the beginning to the end, and you actually accomplish that without anybody stopping you, that was a really bad meeting. If that makes sense. Like it's like that means they were not even paying attention, like, and they were bored. Like if they're interrupting you and asking you questions, like like it actually becomes a conversation. That's a really good meeting, right? And so the best meetings, kind of like what he's hinting at, is like you sit down and you kind of like describe what you do, and they ask you a question, and in answering it, you like jump to like, you kind of pull up a slide that happens to speak to the answer you're doing, and they ask you another question. You might hop to a different slide, and much less of like, I'm just talking and giving you through this thing.
One other thing about stories, there's so much advice about stories, but one quickie, which is good about all stories, is do not put in detail that is not directly relevant to the point you're going to make, right? So like, the good detail was, it was 9 o'clock, I need to go to bed by 10, but because that's setting up the fact that you went to bed at 12. So that detail, what time it was important. But then it could be something like, so I went to LinkedIn and I clicked the thing, and it's like, is that important that you click the thing? Is it even important that you went to LinkedIn? It might be, because I think the tool integrated with LinkedIn, so maybe it is important that it was LinkedIn. But just the point being, like, every detail, if it's like, I sat down at my desk in my dorm, and it's like, wait, does it matter that you were in your dorm? Because if not, I know that's small, it's just like a word, right? But when you take out all that, what happens is the listener just fills in the details themselves. They can see you doing this, or they see themselves doing it, for that matter. And when you add a detail, you're preventing them from seeing it, because they're like, wait, now I have to modify my view to include the detail you just said. And there's no need to make them modify that unless the detail is important to the story and you're going to pull it back. So it's just like a random storytelling thing, but it also makes it shorter because you're just eliminating all this fake detail that's not helping. It's actually hurting the listener because they're now filing away. Is it important that they're in a dorm room, that they're sitting, that they're on LinkedIn, that it's 9 o'clock, that you like to run, which was irrelevant, right? You could just say, it's Sunday night. I got to get up early tomorrow. See, when you say I have to run, I know it makes it kind of personal. Again, opinions, okay? It makes it personalized because it's running, so maybe that's good. Maybe. But now I'm thinking that I was always thinking the whole time, like, oh, running isn't important. I have to remember, I was remembering that. Don't make me do that. It's making the story longer and it's putting load up here. I know I'm like, going on about this one thing. Just in general for storytelling, this is a nice tip. You can tell in my pitch, I definitely didn't add any detail that was needed. I don't know what you want me to talk about.
Let's switch to building. So like you know, when I met you, you had just sold SparkBear, which built code testing tools. You wrote the book on how to test your code software. You were like I thought of you as like the developer's entrepreneur. You know, like you were the entrepreneur, but you wrote and spoke to the developers. Your buyers were programmers. And so you're very technical. By the way, he has a computer science degree from UT Austin. Can't believe I mentioned that. And so, like, what do you think about what we're doing in this class? And less about the class, but why we're doing this, and like what's happening with AI right now. It's like specifically to the point of like, if you wanted to go like what it took to build the first MVP of WP Engine 15 years ago versus what it would take today.
Yeah, I mean, you already know the answer. It's very different, and it's going to be different again in 2 years. So here's some quick thoughts that are maybe not as obvious. Because, God damn it, I'm bored of the AI conversation because I haven't heard anyone say anything new in like a year or two. It's just, I mean, it's not that it's not important. It's just I haven't heard any new like insights. So here's my attempt to get at some things for you. These will be random. One is I think there's 3 kinds of AI products, and it's useful as you build the products to know which kind it is so that you can kind of focus everything on it because you have different kinds of customers and features and stuff depending on it. Here's what they are. One is legacy plus AI. So this is like Figma and then they add AI. Or Google Sheets and they add AI. To me, it's not working. I go to Google Sheets, I type shit, I don't know, weird stuff happens. I go to Notion and I try to get to do what I think is pretty simple and it doesn't really work. So it's not really working yet. Good, because that means startups have an opportunity. Once they get it working, look out because they have all the customers already. They're gonna and the data. They have a lot of advantages. So anyway, legacy plus AI is one kind. That's not you, but that's a competitor. Okay. The next kind is AI for pros. I'm already a software developer. AI is making me a better one. I'm already a designer. AI is making me a better one. I'm already a writer. AI is making me a better one. So AI for pros. But that's a whole thing. You're still selling AI coding to coders. So that means cursor.
And this is that cursor. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like this is that stuff. What's nice about that is the pro knows what to do with the result. So when the AI is inevitably wrong, the pro can fix it. That's good. There's like a whole UI interaction there that you can do. You're able to do. And other things too, like how many pros are there? I don't know, some number. As opposed to the third category, AI for
less technical.
Well, just not the pro, the amateur, the person who's not
Replit.
right? So yeah, Replit or whatever, right? So here, the good news is N is way bigger. There's like 100 or 1,000 times more people that want to make a website than know how to make a website. But they're not pros, and so when it generates something that's wrong, like, oh well, I'm not sure what to do next. So it's a very different kind of UI and what kinds of problems could be solved that way, what's allowable, and so forth. So it's easy to make a demo, but hard to make something that you can really ship and have paying customers on, because going that last mile is very hard in those scenarios. Whereas with the Pro, that's not a problem at all. So you see, they're so different in how they're pros and cons. That's why it's useful to know, wait, which kind am I doing? It is useful. Another thought is, the job market is really shitty right now. You probably know that. And some of that is AI's taking the jobs, but I don't think so much, because AI is not very good at many of these jobs, as we just said. What I think is actually happening mostly is people expect that AI will do a lot of the jobs. And that expectation is freezing hiring. In other words, if I think that, well, AI is only so pretty good at writing blog posts, but not perfect. But I think that in a year or two, it will be perfect enough. I'm not going to hire someone for 1 year and then fire them. That's not how big companies think. It's a liability, it's annoying, it's hard to source and interview, and you train up and then they're gone. Like that's a very bad idea for a big company. So to me, it's thought that AI will do the jobs more so than AI is doing the jobs that freezes the job market. So that's a problem for you guys. So some thoughts I have about that is, one, I would use because you're going to be trying to get jobs from old people like me, and so you want to use analogies that old people know. So when the internet was first started up, the people that were then incumbents, they didn't know what to do with it. They're like, so we take our brochures and we put it on the web. Okay, like they just had no clue what it was going to be, and so you had to hire young people who were like, oh, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then you hire the young people anyway, just do it even when you don't know. And then social media, same thing. There's no old person that doesn't know how TikTok works. But if you're a consumer brand, you need to go on TikTok, whatever that means. So you've got to have young people doing that, because old people don't know how to do it. So I think one thing I would use is, AI is changing really fast. Everyone's trying to figure out how to use it. And by the time you figure anything out, it's different in 6 months. So that means the only organizations that will thrive are those that are very agile and flexible and ready to go to different places, because that's what AI does. So who's able to do that? Not old people. The young people are able to follow that and do it and have the energy to do that, and then also just be kind of more natural at it. And that's just been true with social media and with mobile and with the internet. And so here we go again. And that's how I would pitch myself. Is like, so you have to hire me out of school. You have to do that, because the person with 10 years of experience is not going to figure out cursor. I am. Right? Because I'm not saddled by whatever they're saddled with. I'm the one who's going to figure it out, actually. And so, so I would use that fact, because, and by the way, it's hard to get a job if you have 10 or 30 years of experience in computer science right now, also. That's what I would use.
What questions do you guys have for Jason?
Yeah.
What do you think is the best strategy, like for that type 1 company, like legacy plus AI, to build a moat and prevent like the legacy player from just building that same thing in the future?
Wait, you're saying what should the legacy person do?
No, what should the startup do to prevent the legacy company from just eating them alive?
You will not prevent the legacy company from making AI. You can't prevent them.
Right.
They have all the money and all the customers, and they're actually spending the money on AI. The good news is most of them can't do it. So the good news is you can't stop them, but they just can't do it at all in the first place. You don't have to stop them; they'll just fail. Google can't do it in Sheets, so if they can't do it, I mean, who's got a prayer? Adobe definitely will never do it. Figma probably can't do it. So the good news is you can't stop them, but most of them don't seem like they're capable of doing it. Maybe you could consider it a race, though, because if the AI got so good that it actually would work, just because it sort of brute forces its way, even though they can't figure it out, then you got more of a problem. So perhaps the answer is it's a race. Can you get a product that people like and get it to their hands before AI gets to the point where even the legacy idiots can make it work? And nobody knows what the timeline of that is. Yeah. The other thing I would say is legacy plus AI starts always with legacy. But a better question is, how does AI make the entire product different in the first place, where bolting on AI is not the answer? For example, today, one of the things I loved, it wasn't one of the things I was giving feedback on, but I really liked, was the the help system that actually showed you how to do it, show me how to do this rather than answer me. Because the Legacy plus AI version of this is what Intercom.io does. They have pretty good AI, they claim. But it was, you chat with tech support, and now with AI, you chat with AI. Right, that's Legacy plus AI is the same shit, a chat client, so now it's AI. But that's not what that product was. That product was, look, I've got a mouse, sort of, or a virtual mouse, I'm showing you, I'm clicking this and sliding this, you see slow down, and Intercom cannot do that, and they're not gonna do that. So can that be, so either a product that has that built in, or is that a product like a thing like Intercom is a thing? Intercom's a thing where you slap it on there and you get chat. Can I make a thing, of course it's more complicated than chat because it's got to interact. So whatever it is getting more complicated, but can I build a thing in which an app developer can have that experience that was described? Intercom can't make that. It's just not their product. They're a chat system. And like Josh said, one of the things incumbents have is data. Data is important because training. That is an advantage. But Intercom has chat training. That's not the product. The product is show me how to do the thing. No, that's still training that's like different thing, and it's just different. So that's maybe a minor example, but it's one from today.
Can I give you an alternate perspective, like a different, the other side of it? There are some things like they are going to have advantage of. And so and I'm probably biased in this, but my background is a lot in email. And email, one of the hardest parts, there's two things that are really hard about email. One is it's a very big product. The MVP is very big. To make just the basic product, you have to do a lot of code, do a lot of stuff well. And but secondly, people don't trust you with their email, especially companies, right? And so if you want to build something that like reads everybody's email and does something cool with it, no company will let you. Like they just won't give you the data, like as a startup, that you can't get from 0 to 1 because they won't let you access all their email. But Superhuman or Outlook or something like that, they have all the email already. So like, as you talked about examples of like, I think one of the companies that I think is doing a pretty good job with AI is Superhuman, but it's because they're still more like a startup and they have all the email data, you already trust them with all the email data so they can turn it on.
So, I keep hearing, companies like Meta and Microsoft, they're talking about like 25%, 30% half of our code is going to be written by AI. Does that mean you're just going to write more AI? I mean, more code? So like the actual amount of code that's being produced, there's just going to be more of it.
There's no doubt there's going to be more code. There's always been more code. Now there'll be even more code.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think that's the point. I think they're saying they're going to lose 25 to 50% of the people.
I also think it's not true.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, when I used the AI, code AI, and one of the things I felt like I was a babysitter. I was praying, press yes, to all the prompts. When I get it, come back, okay, do this. And at the end of the day, I didn't learn anything, number one, so I didn't become a coder or a better coder. And two, it felt soulless. It didn't feel like
Well, now you're bringing up a different point. So I can't help you with your soul. So they say these things. I mean, Sam Altman says that they write 10 times more code now because of AI. But other developers at OpenAI say, no, we're not. So first of all, that's not true. Now, maybe it'll be true eventually. But as soon as you say, like, this will be true eventually, what's the timeline? I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 8,000 months. You're like, okay. That's like the person that says the stock market's going to crash. When? Sometime in the next 20 years. That's not a prediction. That's not a useful prediction, right? And so, sure, AI is going to get better and then you'll do stuff with it. Like, we know that. That's not a prediction. Again, that's why I'm kind of bored with a lot of AI companies. Like, we know. Well, when? Nobody knows. How will that change? Nobody knows. But I do think, and there's all these studies that show you're slower writing code with AI. You spend so much time digging around. People have done A/B tests with their own tasks and discovered that AI is not faster. So I think in some ways, like going from 0 to something, AI is clearly faster. And scaffold and shit, like obviously that's good. But for production apps, where you're actually then doing the next things, it gets it wrong all the time. You're wrestling with the tools a lot. It's actually slow to wait for the tool a lot of times. Like it's not that great for mature code bases, which is what Meta and Microsoft app, which are huge code bases. So I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just saying, like, don't listen to this hype and stuff. It's like, whatever. But I do think it's interesting, again, like, how is it different than the incumbents? Is like, so the Smartsheet was interesting because they were like, spreadsheets are basically good, but we could really re-envision what that is, right? And like, they have a multi-billion-dollar company saying, we can be inspired by spreadsheets, but we should rethink what this can be in the era of collaboration on the web and this and that. And so, whereas Google Sheets is Excel on the web, which is great, I love it, it's one of my favorite apps. But like, you could say, well, but how would you re-envision this whole thing in the first place if you didn't start by saying it has to be spreadsheets but on the web? And then you get a whole multi-billion-dollar company because there's lots of good answers to that. So similarly with AI, right? Sure, you use spreadsheet with AI. Yeah, that is a good idea. Like, you should do that, I guess. But the better idea is like, what else could happen? So you can make apps like, you know, one of the classic things people say is everyone will just make their own app. I don't have to buy software. I'll make my own software. Now, today we do not live in that world, but at least that's a statement about a very different kind of world where no incumbent app person wins. It's the person that makes the app builder that wins in that universe. Okay, so that's an extreme, but like, there's probably other things where you say, if we should rethink what this thingy is, like we were doing with let's replace, like, here's a terrible pitch for the apps. It'll be MyFitnessPal and this other thing in one. That's a terrible thing because they already kind of all do it in one. A better thing is, wait a minute, why would I want those old shitty apps? I want to take a picture of my food and it knows how many calories. I want to take a picture of myself and it knows what my BMI is. Like, what do you mean? I don't want MyFitnessPal. That's not the app I want. What I would want if I could really rethink it is, I don't know, whatever, right? Something. And then that's what I should bank with. And I can move AI. MyFitnessPal will, of course, not follow, or they'll go so slowly that you'll have a nice advantage. So I don't know what that is. That's called innovation. So I don't know what they are. But we certainly are plagued with that now in WordPress.
Some more questions. With like AI and like development, besides actually creating code, like writing code, creating apps, what do you think is like the most differentiating factor like for success for like new starters? New startup apps. Besides like developing code. Yeah, like I think it's marketing, but like
for the company to be successful?
Yeah.
So the question is, what's the biggest factor for the company to a new startup to be successful?
Besides code.
Besides code.
Besides actually the development of it, like you think.
Well, there's code. You know, we used to say at IT Watchdogs several startups ago, everyone here is either making it or getting rid of it. Meaning you're either like building the product or selling the product. We have it was a physical product too, so we're either literally or getting it off the shelf and selling it. So obviously, if you're saying what do you need for success besides building it, it's getting rid of it. You know, it's selling that market. There's a well-known phrase which you probably heard in our entire hearing, which is, will the startup get distribution before the incumbent gets innovation? Meaning, will the startup can probably build something new, but how do you get customers? It's really hard. It's really hard to get. It's so noisy out there. It's expensive. It's just hard to get attention. God, it's hard. You can make something new, but gee, it's so hard to get people attention. So that's the thing. Can the startup do that? Is really hard, which is what you said, right? The incumbent has exactly the opposite problem. We have 200,000 customers, so getting customers ain't the problem. We're really good at getting new ones, and we can sell stuff to 200,000 captive audience. So like, that's not the problem. Just the opposite. How do we make a new product that people actually want? And it's not enough for it to make even $10 million. The $100 million a year would have to be the absolute floor of what it does for it to be worth our time trying to build it. But it's really hard to find ideas that are like that. And it's hard for us to build new things because we have a brand and we have existing systems and we have all this stuff that makes it slow. So the big company has distribution, but not innovation, and starts the opposite. And the question is, who's going to get there first? Which is kind of the question we were saying, right? And so, yes, for the startup, distribution is the hard thing. And so the correct thing is to spend half your time on each thing. What people actually do is spend all their time coding and no time marketing, or 10% of the time marketing. So I spend 90% of my time trying to convince people to do marketing. Not because it should be 90%, but because I'm trying to balance out what people normally do with what problem spaces are big in the next 10 years? 5 or 10 years. And, well, I think it has been, actually, I think it was Metcalf, Josh, who said this maybe more than 10 years ago. I think it's still true, which just proves it. Energy, education, and health. These are things where it'll only be worse over time. In the case of health, it's because people are aging on average, me, a person across the world. And also, there's an insatiable appetite to be healthier. And I don't just mean eating healthy, most people don't want to do that. But when you get sick, it's nice if there's something to do about that, right? And energy is a clear one. We have enough energy, but not in the right places. So we don't really have enough energy. And then and there's all kinds of problems in there. Right? There's physical problems, and there's software problems maybe, but there's a lot of things. In education, we saw stuff today. It's so clear. Again, like the pitch today of like everyone should have their own personal tutor. Like to me, that's the whole pitch. It's over. Do I really have to explain why everyone in the world having their own personal tutor wouldn't be transformative and wonderful? One of the best things we could ever do for humanity? Do we really have to justify that? Isn't it obvious? To me, that's the whole pitch. Game over. Now let's try to do it. It's really hard to do. Okay, sounds really worth it though. Like, let's try to do it. Let's have 100 people try to do it. 100 different teams try to do it because it's going to be hard. So I think that's not the only kind of education, but it's a really obvious one, right? So I think those are still huge areas. But on the other hand, like, I'm in websites. Sounds pretty trivial compared to that, but there's a lot of websites. There's tons of innovation there. You'd be hard pressed to find an area of life that there's no innovation possible. There's no way for it to improve. I don't know. AI can apply to it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe where AI can apply is different. But a lot of people that say, no, AI is going to find new protein folding. AI is going to find new medicine. AI is going to find new ways to, right? So there's plenty of people saying AI will fix all the physical problems too. So, I don't know about that, but even the things that you could say are mundane, like textbook costs or halo effects or something, you could say, well, the world doesn't really need that necessarily. It's not that important compared to educating billions of kids, or adults actually for that matter, right? So what? We need all that stuff. We have enough space for all of that stuff. So I think as long as it's making the world net better, like, we have time for that actually. So let's do it. The question is, given that people like to hear different styles of pitch, how do you do it, right? And so what I would say is, since who knows what they all want, you should do whatever you can execute the best, whatever style that is. If you love telling a story, tell a goddamn story. You'll tell a really good story, right? You're gonna you do 2 minutes, I guess, but you'll do really well there. If you're like me and you're like, I don't like telling stories. Well, if I try to do it, I'm not gonna do that great at it. But on the other hand, if I say, all right, well, what's the alternative? Being really precise and really incisive and using normal words and like going like, God, that's just so clear. That's something I can do. Okay, well then I'm going to make the clearest, crispest, most, you can say intellectual, but not like philosophy, but organized, clear, simple, and you just go, oh yeah, yeah. And it won't be heartfelt, but it'll be a really effective message. So you should because you don't know other things to pick, you should do the thing you'll be best at. And then even if someone else is like, well, I prefer a story. Yeah, but if it's really clear, like that's pretty good still, as opposed to what? So I would look inward. What am I most comfortable with? What do I like? When I see other things I like, why? Like you saw a bunch of pitches today. Some you like more than others, or other things online or something. Which ones do you like? So like, do you like when I'm showing how to do weird skips in video games, or you prefer the lore videos? Like, you know, you can figure out by observing yourself. You know what, I kind of like that. Like, good. Find those things, and then, like, you know, try to get better at that, because you'll like getting better at that. And because you're becoming a better version of what you are. Good. That's a good kind of like study and learning improvement, because that feels good. All right. All right. Well, thank you. Let's give Jason a big round of applause. Nate's was mine. That was my. Oh, you want me to do one? Oh, you want to do one? Okay. Okay. Sorry. The extra credit. Jason also brought. Yeah, no, I asked. He also brought one more pitch. So this will be one more idea of something else you could build. You can also build W Mansion. But here's one more. Oh yeah, I just thought I was supposed to have an idea that's AI. And also I have to pitch. Yes. Which I guess I don't have a timer, but I'll try to make it short. I'm writing a book. That's true. I have this blog for 20 years. I have 65,000 people in a newsletter list, so maybe like 14 of them might buy a book if I'm lucky. Anyway, I'm writing a book, and unlike the blog, I want the book to be even better and more organized, and that means an editor. I don't use editors for blogs, but I'm using an editor for a book. And I don't know if you know this, but there's many kinds of editors. Did you know that? There's something called, neither did I. There's something called structure editor, and they look at things like the table of contents and the flow and the length and all this kind of macro stuff. And then there's something called a line editor. And the line editor is literally like this, looking for typos and grammar and verb agreements, and if you use the word too much, or that's not exactly what that word means, it's close, but you didn't quite get it right, and you switch from the third person to the second person accidentally, and you know, this kind of like, so grammar, but then beyond grammar, a little bit better than that, but still like not conceptual, just like, that's what they call line editing, right, like this. Guess how much this costs? $20,000 to $50,000 per book to do structure and line editing. Woo! Right. You thought there's no money in books? There is. Because you know AI can do line editing. Everything I just listed, you know it can do. How good can it get? I don't know. Pretty good, I guess. So if instead of spending $5,000 on a line editor, and then I guess again to make sure I didn't screw more stuff up, I don't really know. If I could give $100 to a thing. Oh, by the way, line editing takes about a month. Because someone's reading like 300 pages. So if I give it to a computer for $100 instead of $5,000, and I get it back, you know, in an hour instead of a month, it seems like a whole lot better. And then the question is, well, how many people write books? Nobody reads books. You're right, nobody reads books. But the thing is, people do write them. Did you know that in the U.S. alone, between 500,000 to 1 million books are published every year? And you know no one reads them. I mean, a few of them, very few are read. The rest are not read. So never mind how many people read books, that's a lot of damn books. Now a lot of those are self-published, but something like 100,000 of them are published, times thousands and thousands of dollars each time. That's actually a lot of money. Also, if besides people that already spend money on line editing, which you just take their lunch money, this would be 10 times cheaper. How many people don't do line editing because it costs $5,000? And so if they could just cost $100, maybe they do it. And again, there's something like 1 million people a year that could potentially do that. To me, that's really neat. No one's looking at books because it's a dead industry as far as a lot of people are concerned. A lot of times when everybody thinks it's dead, there's maybe a little juice in there. So I don't think it's like the next Facebook, but I think it'd actually be pretty easy. So one idea I had for my book was, if I put it in Google Docs, AI can go to the Google Doc because it's all structured in there. And you know, the Google Docs has an API. You can like leave a comment. So imagine that you just give your Google Doc, you share it, I guess, whatever, right? You share it with the AI, so just make it generally commentable, and give it the URL, and say line edit, and they would just read it and just literally put the comments, maybe even corrections, because you can suggest. So it could suggest corrections or leave a comment, or suggest and tell it why in a comment, right? So I tried this, but now I'm way over 3 minutes, but oh well. I tried this actually by just making a pretty simple prompt with a lot of the stuff I just told you, and it works just fine. And I'm like, give me some context around it, because I was just doing it in the chat, right? So, but if it was doing that and you were sticking in Google Doc, I mean, how easy is it? You can even watch it just going, how cool would that be? And I probably will try to build it for my book. You can go build. I'm actually writing a book right now. I'm writing a sci-fi book. Are you using, what do you write in?
well, I have a custom thing.
I'm using Scrivener. That was like I found as like the thing. Yeah. So awesome. Well, great. Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate you coming. Jason is a frequent speaker. I asked him to come here a lot. Actually, when I first got asked to do this class, I asked Jason to teach it with me. He was just starting WP Engine. It was 2011. So he said, no, I don't have time. But he comes back a lot. And yeah, we're really lucky to have that time with him. So thank you. So you heard a bunch of pitches today. You heard you heard Nate's pitch about, which was just to reiterate my version of that, what that is. And so basically what it is a way where you can train it on somebody's voice using video or audio or whatever, and then you can basically get it to auto-generate things using their voice, which they're using mostly for ads. And so you can basically say like, a celebrity can upload their voice, and now other people can make ads using their voice and just pay them for it without the celebrity having to actually record it, which they don't want to take the time to go do. And then the whole rules thing was, if you're going to do that, they're going to say, okay, I don't want any pornography, I don't want any this, I don't want any that, and then there's like an approval process of they made the video, they can still approve it even though they have to record it. So pretty cool. You heard WP Engine, you heard his latest idea for the editor, you heard a whole bunch of really cool ideas from all of you, and it can be ones from previous weeks too. Main thing we're going for, just because we want to push for like iterate, not something like demoing a new version of the thing you're already working on, even though that's great that you're doing that. I want you to keep working on these, but we also, you're going to get a lot of value from the experience of the iterations, the reps, the at-bats of building something, and then building something again, and then building something again, and really pushing to see what you can get done in a week. So I'd like you to try to keep do that. So next week's assignment, yeah, same as this week. And I thought this week was awesome. I did not know what to expect. Like, I didn't know what you're going to build, and I was super impressed. Like, really. The pitches were really great. The demos were really great. So bar is going to keep going up. And who's the speaker next week? You remember? Blake from Aceable. I don't remember. How many of you learned to drive on Aceable? A bunch of you probably, right? Blake's a great entrepreneur. Super fun. And Aceable, you could go build Aceable, right? Like, that's something you could go build with AI. And Blake, when I met him, he didn't know how to build it. He was not a technical person. Like, what would it have been so different for him today if he could have gone and just built the demo of Aceable himself using Lovable, right? So it'll be really fun. I'm really glad to have him come. And I think Anjali's got a couple of that.
I made a discussion post in Canvas. If you guys pitch or have ideas, please post your ideas there so your classmates can actually build off of that. Because I'm sure no one remembers all the pitches.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
I think there's Express for the back end.